Is going to read. My cat.
Oh, why not? Only reads in Gaelic.
That would be quite a miracle.
Well, she talks enough.
Okay, let me give a brief introduction to the video folks. So today we are going to be finishing up Canto 7. We're about 2/3 of the way through it already. To start off with, Dee Dee will be reading the Sayer's synopsis of the whole canto. And then we'll begin reading, I think starting at line 104, if you're looking at a commedia that has line numbers. I will put in a link if you want to read from something that has the line numbers. I'll connect you to the.
Hey, Duncan, it would
Yes.
take us 5 minutes to read through the whole thing, and then we can stop at 104 and start to discuss. How would that be?
I have no objections to that.
Why not?
I-
To me, going back is always nourishing.
Okay, that's fine with me. So we're going to read the whole. We're going to start off by reading up to line, I think, 104 in Italian.
And I'll read this
and in English.
introduction too. It's just a short
Okay.
paragraph.
All right, you go ahead and begin, Dee Dee.
Okay. Circle 7, circle 4, the hoarders and spendthrifts. The story. At the entrance to the 4th circle, the poets are opposed by Pluto, and Virgil is again obliged to use a, quote, word of power. In this circle, the hoarders and the spendthrifts roll huge rocks against one another, and here Virgil explains the nature and working of luck or fortune. Then crossing the circle, they descend the cliff to the marsh of sticks, which forms the 5th circle and contains the wrathful. Skirting its edge, they reach the foot of a tower. That's done.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you
Thank
very much.
you.
So, Decio, go ahead and begin reading in Italian from the beginning.
Canto 7 again. Okay.
Canto
Well, we
7
don't have
again.
to do the Italian. Why don't we just do the English?
Yes, no, we
Oh,
are
okay,
going to
never
do the
mind.
Italian. Okay,
All right, it
All right.
sounds good. I'm happy, but
okay.
Let's go. Pappe Satan Aleppe. Cominciò Pluto con la voce chioccia. E quel savio gentil che tutto seppe, disse per confortarmi, non ti nocchia la tua paura, che poder che egli abbia, non ci torrà lo scender questa roccia. Poi si rivolse a quella infiata labbia e disse: Taci, maledetto lupo, consuma dentro te con la tua rabbia. Non è senza cagion l'andare al cupo, vuolsi nell'alto là dove Michele fe la vendetta del superbo struppo, quali dal vento le gonfiate vele cagionano a volte, poi che l'alber fiacca, tal cade a terra la fiera crudele. Così, scendendo nella quarta lacca, pigliamo più della dolente rippa che il mal dell'universo tutto insacca. Abbi giustizia di Dio, tanti chi stipa 9 travagli e pene quanti io vidi, e perché nostra colpa se ne scipa, come fa l'onda la sovra Caridi che si frange con quella in cui si stoppa, così convien che qui la gente ridi. Qui vidi gente più che altrove troppa, ed una porte ed altra con gran urli voltando pesi per forza di poppa. Percotensi incontro e poscia per lì si rivolge ciascun voltando a retro, gridando perché tieni e perché urli? Così tornavano per lo cerchio tetro da ogni mano e opposito punto, gridandosi anche loro antosso metro. Poi si volgea ciascun, quando era giunto per lo suo meso cerchio all'altra giostra, e io, che ave lo cuor quasi compunto, dissi, Maestro mio, or mi dimostra che gente è questa, e se tutti fuor cresci, questi circuti alla sinistra nostra, ed egli a me, tutti quanti fur guerci, si della mente in la vita primaia, che con misura nullo spendio ferci. Assai la voce, lor chiaro la baia, quando vengono e a due punti del cerchio, dove colpa contraria gli dispaia. Next.
Questi forcerci, che non han coperchio, piloso a capo, e papi e cardinali, in cui usavrizio suo soperchio. E io, maestro, tra questi cotali, dovrei io ben riconoscere alcuni che foro mondi di cotesti mali, ed egli a me, vano pensiero aduni, la sconoscente vita che fe sazi, ad ogni conoscenza o li fa bruni. In eterno verranno a li due cozzi, questi risorgeranno del sepolcro, col pugno chiuso, e questi coi crin mozzi. Maldare e maltenere lo mondo pulcro, a tutto loro e posti a questa zuffa. Valera sia, parole non ci apulcro. Or poi figlio veder la corta buffa, di ben che son commessi alla fortuna, perché l'umana gente si rabbuffa. Che tutto loro che sotto la luna, e che già fu di quest'anime stanche, non potrebbe farne posare una. Maestro mio, dis'io, or mi di anche, questa fortuna di che tu mi tocchi, che è, che ben del mondo assi trabranche. Next, please.
Et quelle a me, o creature, ciocchio, quanto ignoranza è quella che vo offende, o vo che tu mia sentenza ne me bocce. Colui lo io cui saver tutto trascende, fece le ciele e die lor che conduce. Sì, c'ogne parte ad ogne parte splende, distribuyendo igualmente la luce. Similemente agli splendor mondani, ordino, general, ministra e duce, che permutasse a tempo le ben vane, di gente in gente, e de uno en altro sangue, oltre la defensión di sine umani. Perché gente impera e la otra langue, seguendo l'io giudicio de costie, che è occulto come in erba langue. Vostra saver non ha contrasto alle. Questa provende, giudica e persegue suo regno come il loro di altri die. Le sue permutazioni non hanno triegue, necessità la fa esser veloce, si espresso vien che vicinda consegue. Queste coler che tanto posta in croce, pur da color che la dovrien da lode, dandole baismo a torto e mala voce, ma elle se bieta e ch'io non ode, con la altre prime creature lieta, vova suspera e bieta si gode. Ode scendiamo omai a maggior pieta, gia ogni stella cade che saliva. Quando io mi mossi, il troppo starsi vieta. Noi recidemo il cerchio all'altra riva. So una fonte che bolle e reversa per un fossata che da lei deriva. And I'm stopping there, and we will go to the English. at
You
this point.
know, oh, we're going to read the whole English. Okay. Let me say this before we even start.
Okay.
On line 68, I think. What is this fortune thou speakest of? And then it goes on, the fortune is ignorance, ordained, and further along, 78, ordained a general ministrance and guide. And down here to 85, your knowledge has no counterstand against her. She, and he talks about who is crucified. This goes to 92. This is ignorance, but she is blissful. Ignorance is blissful. So reading that, you'll know who it's not an individual. It's ignorance when we read about her.
I think it's Dame Fortune or Luck.
Ignorance.
Okay.
Read it, you'll see.
We're ignorant.
What is
ignorance
this
is
fortune which thou speak of? It's ignorance
Okay.
that has the
think-
world's goods so within its clutches.
Okay. I think we're ignorant, but I mean, there's different interpretations of this, and we can come back to that. But for the moment, let's just go ahead and read the English up to the 103, and then we will begin. If you want to, we can have a discussion. I kind of disagree with you a little bit. It's okay. There's certainly room for more than one
Feel free.
interpretation. Okay. So anyway, in English from the beginning, Papa Satan, Alepe. Thus Plutus, with his clucking voice, began, and that benignant sage who all things knew, said to encourage me, let not thy fear harm thee, for any power that he may have shall not prevent thy going down this crag. Then he turned round unto that bloated lip and said, be silent, thou accursed wolf, consume within thyself thine own rage. not causeless is this journey to the abyss. Thus it is willed on high, where Michael wrought vengeance upon the proud adultery. Next.
And this accursed wolf reminded me of the Wizard of Oz when I thought about it when we went back. Anyhow, even as the sails, inflated by the wind, together fall involved when snaps the mast, so fell the cruel monster to the earth. Thus we descended into the fourth chasm, gaining still further on the dolesome shore, which all the woe of the universe insacks. Justice of God, who heaps so many new toils and sufferings as I beheld, and why doth our transgression waste us so? As doth the billow there upon Charybdis that breaks itself on that which it encounters, so here the folk must dance their roundelay. Here I saw people more than elsewhere, many on one side and the other, with great howls, rolling weights forward by main force of chest. Next.
These stones would clash, then wheeling they'd retreat and yell, cross their shoulders, cry and counter cry. You miser, why fling all away? So back along that dismal curve they went to reach at either end, the diametric points, still screaming shamefully insulting chaps. Arriving each round his half circle, back, each whisked around to tilt against the next other. At this, my heart transfixed, or very nearly. Sir, I spoke up to make clear to me what folk these are, and whether to our left all those with tonsured scalps could really have been clerics. Without exception, all of these, he said, when first they lived, had such strabismic minds. They bear no check or measure on expense. And when they reach the 2 points in the round, which converse crimes on couple each from each, they bark their meaning out and sound it clear. Next.
They whose pates boast no hairy canopies are clerks, yea, popes and cardinals, in whom covetousness hath made its masterpiece. Why, sir, said I, surely there must be some faces I know in all this gang, thus brought by these defilements to a common doom. Nay, he replied, that is an empty thought. Living, their minds distinguish nothing. Dead, they cannot be distinguished. In this sort they'll butt and brawl forever. When from bed the last trump wakes the body, these will be raised with tight fists, and those stripped hide and head. Hoarding and squandering filched the bright world's glee away, and set them to this tourney's shock, whose charms need no embroidered words from me. See now, my son, the fine and fleeting mock of all these good men wrangle for, the boon that is delivered into the hand of luck. For all the gold that is beneath the moon or ever was, could not avail to buy repose for one of these weary souls. Not one. Next, please.
Who's next?
Sylvia.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, Sylvia.
It's John no next.
Oh, it's
Oh,
John
let's
then.
let John, we'll let John go next. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Your grandson.
No, I
Mash.
read.
Go, John.
Me? Okay. Master, I said to him, now tell me also, what is this fortune which thou speakest of, that has the world's goods so within its clutches? And he to me, O creatures imbecile, what ignorance is this which doth beset you? Now will I have thee learn my judgment of her. He whose omniscience everything transcends, the heavens created and gave who should guide them, that every part to every part may shine, distributing the light in equal measure. He in like manner to the mundane splendors ordained a general ministress and guide, that she might change at times the empty treasures from race to race, from one blood to another, beyond resistance of all human wisdom. Next, please.
Therefore, one people triumphs and another languishes in pursuance of her judgment, which hidden is, as in the grass, a serpent. Your knowledge has no counterstand against her. She makes provision, judges, and pursues her governance, as theirs the other gods. Her permutations have not any truce. Necessity makes her precipitate, so often cometh who his turn obtains. And this is she who is so crucified, even by those who ought to give her praise, giving her blame amiss and bad repute. But she is blissful, and she hears it not among the other primal creatures, gladsome. She turns her spear, and blissful she rejoices. Decia.
Let us descend now unto greater woe. Already sings each star that was ascending, when I set out, and loitering is forbidden. We crossed the circle to the other bank, near to a fount that boils and pours itself along a gully that runs out of it. No, from now on, we have to discuss.
Yeah, I think that's good enough on the reading. I think let's spend a little bit of time on Dee Dee's point, if we may. So Dee Dee, I'll just tell you what I think is going on here. I think that this whole thing about fortune is saying that actually fortune does what fortune wants. It's not under
Well,
any.
fortune does it, and ignorance is what keeps people influenced by this.
Right. They think that they think they can influence fortune and don't realize that it's really just fickle.
Yeah, it's a fantasy.
It's a fantasy. And actually there's a book, it's been around for many decades, called A Random Walk on Wall Street, which basically says that the attempt to actually divine what the stock market is going to do is just kind of foolish.
Yeah,
That like fortune itself, it is completely fickle and it does what it wants to do. And so, its advice, I don't own any stocks, but its advice is, pick what you think are some pretty decent stocks and just stick to them, because you're not going to outguess the market anyway. Which is kind of a modern day example of this idea that fortune just does what it wants to do. You can never.
and people thinking we know, thinking we know something misleads us terribly, not looking at the vast amount we don't know.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And this is, I think this is attempting to show us that, look, the pursuit of wealth or even the pursuit of spending is really not the way to go. It's a misuse of free will. Oh, okay. So, since I've already read twice the Italian and the English, Dee Dee, why don't you pick up on line 103 and read some of the tercets and stop when you want to, and we'll have a little discussion about that.
Okay, we don't know what this fount really is. Near to a fount that boils. and pours itself along a gully that runs out of it. The water was more somber far than Purse. I think Purse, I looked up Purse, it's something black. I can't remember, some material.
Okay.
And we, in company with the dusky waves, made entrance downward by a path uncouth. A marsh it makes, which has the name of Styx. This tristful brooklet, when it has descended down to the foot of the malign gray shores. And I, who stood intent upon beholding, saw people mud besprent in that lagoon, all of them naked and with angry look. Someone else can go on unless we have something to.
Okay. Anybody have a comment
Sylvia's
on any
after
of the
me.
lines so far?
Oh, Dave is after me. Dave is after me.
No, I'm after you.
There
There
are
are
two
two
lists,
lists.
Sylvia. It's confusing.
Or are there?
You are after me. You are after me.
Doesn't
Sylvia.
matter.
Yeah.
I put Sylvia after you.
Okay.
So if you look at the chat, I rearranged the
Changes.
chat thing to put Sylvia after
After you
It
do.
all works.
Oh,
just to
no,
let you know, normally when I make a list, don't ask me why, I tend to do, when possible, female, male, female, male, female,
Oh.
male.
Oh,
That's
right.
just the way I do it. Of course, it's not always possible to do that, but that's just kind of how I do things. But it's okay. It's not it's not chiseled into stone.
So
Okay,
is
Sylvia,
I next? Okay.
yeah, you're up at bat.
H battered H, and not with fists alone, but also with headbutts, kicks, and charging chests. Their teeth too tore them bit by bit to shreds. You witness now, my gentle teacher said, the souls of those whom anger overthrew. And this I'd also have you know, be sure beneath the surface of the slick are some whose sighs, as you can see at every turn, now aerate that polluting film. Will I go on?
I'm going to assume that if you ask the question, that actually you have another question about what's going on here. Does anybody have a question about this so far?
We have different versions of in English, so makes things difficult. Is it possible to everybody have the same version?
That would make it easier, but I think I like having that struggle with. Of course, English isn't your first language, is it?
No, but it's different versions.
I know.
Yeah, and
Different
sometimes that works to our advantage, and sometimes it works to our disadvantage.
Yeah.
Since the different translations sometimes bring a different point of view. So, you know.
I've got Fitzpatrick, I think.
Okay.
I'm on Kindle.
Mm-hmm. And I'm reading, of course, Longfellow, and I'm actually reading off the Dante lab at Dartmouth College. So,
Yeah.
The majority of the group is in this Dartmouth.
yeah, the majority of the group is using Longfellow, and then there's Sayers and and some others. But bringing it
That's okay,
back
no
to
problem.
bringing it back to the actual lines themselves, I think it is worthwhile pointing out that this is the circle of the wrathful or the angry, and that there's two types of anger going on here. There are those at the surface who are battling each other. They smote each other not alone with hands, but with head and with breast and feet, tearing each other piecemeal with their teeth.
Yeah.
This is a
Right.
pretty brutal image.
Mm. And remind me, what sinners are these?
Anger.
The anger.
Anger.
Yeah. It's anger. It's angry people who are overcome by anger. And then, as we will see, there are two types of anger. There's the overt anger, which is very physical, and then we're going to have the less
Sullen.
overt anger, which is the sullen or the resentful.
Oh, would that be like passive aggressive?
Yeah.
Yeah. hmm Yeah. Yeah. And I think that his image of this is excellent,
To put it mildly.
to put it
Yeah.
mildly. Yeah.
It seems like maybe those on the surface are people who some occasions cause to have bursts of anger. And so they're acting aggressively, and those down below are just the malcontents who were in a, I guess, a fixed state of anger at the world or something.
Well, that
Like that.
passive aggressive is a good
Mhm.
way of describing it. They're resentful, have all kinds of hateful thoughts toward people they're resentful of.
Mm.
And I was thinking I was chopping off Trump's head the other day in yoga. um, um, but I didn't do it. So I was acting it out.
Mhm.
Joel, I just want to come back to what you were saying. You're suggesting that the folks below surface, that's kind of a low simmering boil, whereas the kind of barroom brawlers that we see above the surface, that's kind of like a flash of lightning. Is that the comparison you're making?
Something like that, yeah. That
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, something made those on the surface angry, as opposed to it being a permanent or constant condition with them. That's the impression I get here.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I get the impression that it's violence.
Yeah, it's expressed directly physically.
But not physically.
Well, the people below the surface are not doing it physically. There's actually a concept in Chinese medicine, uh, concept of the disease of the repressed liver. And these are the people who are angry but will not express it.
Wow. It's got to do
And
with the liver?
it has to do with the liver. The liver
Wow.
controls anger, and then the other people have what might be called fire in the liver. And the idea in Chinese medicine is that the people who have repressed liver are upset all the time, and um, they take it all out in resentment or the occasional harsh word, but they never really become angry. in the classic sense of the word.
They
So,
verbally
yeah,
abusive.
they can be verbally abusive or they can say ambiguous things. But this whole, like, look at line 118, beneath the water, people are who sigh and make this water bubble at the surface, as the eye tells thee where'er it turns. And then let me read the next tersima. Fixed in the mire, they say, we sullen were in the sweet air which by the sun is gladdened, bearing within ourselves the sluggish reek. So this is such an accurate description.
Yeah. The liver.
Yeah.
It reminds me actually of a very interesting quote. Ernest King was one of your American top naval commanders during World War II. And one of his daughters said about him, and this is the quote, "My father is one of the most even-tempered men I've ever met. He was always in a rage." And I think it may tie in here too. Yeah, one of the most even-tempered men she'd ever met. He was always in a rage. So
Very even.
yes,
But
Franklin Roosevelt claimed that he shaved every morning with a blowtorch. So
well,
Mhm.
I
reminds
guess
me
it kept his liver healthy.
yes, I guess.
it reminds me of somebody as well who's current, mentioning no names.
Mm.
Who, Sylvia?
I said mentioning no names. There's somebody who's permanently in a rage.
Mm-hmm. Actually, there's quite a few of these people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I would just say what I think we've said all the way along. I mean, this is one of the reasons. I mean, the art here in this is great, but so is the perception, you know, and so it speaks to us it continues to speak to each generation,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so contemporary. Yeah.
Yeah, and I realize, oh, look at that. We are already, I read line 123. Whoever's after Dee Dee might as well finish it off, and then we will talk about these last 6 lines, and we will go on to Canto 8.
Is it Dave?
Yeah, Sylvia. I think I pick it up at 124. Is that correct? Is that where you left off?
Well, yeah, because
Okay.
Duncan read a little bit. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to start at 121 because it's sort of a piece. So I'll just repeat that. Bogged there, they say, sullen were we. We took no joy of the pleasant air, no joy of the good sun. Our hearts smoldered with a sulky smoke. Sullen we lie here now in the black mud. This hymn they gurgle in their throats for this hymn they gurgle in their throats for whole words they can nowise frame. Thus we pursued our path round a wide arc of that ghast pool, between the soggy marsh and arid shore, still eyeing those who gulp the marish fowl, and reached at length the foot of a tall tower.
All right, great.
They're miserable. They're miserable, these people.
They are. Yeah, and you know, I stumbled because I just noticed like what we have is dialogue within or sort of a monologue within a monologue there. That Virgil is giving a direct quotation of what those people would say, which is kind of an interesting way for Dante to render it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm not good enough in Italian, but if I remember correctly, that Barolini says that actually in the Italian here, there is the actual Italian gives, particularly in the final words of each line, gives the impression of anger and disjointedness. And please notice no one is identified.
In the whole canto, right? I'm just
In the
looking
whole
at the
canto,
part I
no,
missed last week. Yeah.
yeah, no one is identified.
But where didn't they because you've done this more than me, but didn't they reference clerics somewhere?
They did, yeah, but they didn't name them, Sylvia.
No, but they still
But
yeah.
the avarice, yeah, the avarice. There was loads of them.
Hmm.
They're all hoarding.
Right. So we actually have this is 7. Hold on. Let me see where I am here. They clash. Okay, so in 7 we have that dual thing. Hold on, what has happened? Hold on. Oh, I see. Okay. I see what's going on. We actually slip in this one canto, we actually slip to a new circle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think they if I've got it correctly, and I don't always, I think they go down a level. Is that not it?
Yeah,
Because
they
there's
do.
that fountain that somebody identified earlier is a stream that then kind of goes over the edge and down, and they follow it to the marsh,
Yeah,
as I interpret it.
right.
Yeah.
And that's the river Styx.
Canto 8 is a flashback, right? At the end of
Exactly.
7, he says we're at the tower, and then the tower will pick up at 9, and now he goes back to how they got
Yeah,
to where
exactly.
he's just
They
described.
arrive to one tower and they see the other tower in the other side of the lake making flashes of light. And then he have to to cross this lake with
Mm-hmm.
the guy that conducts the boat, call it Phlegyas, the conductor of the boat, the captain.
Yeah. And is he somebody in classical thing, John?
Phlegyas?
Yeah.
Yeah. He Apollo raped his daughter, and he, out of anger, set fire to a temple of Apollo, and so was placed in the underworld for that. He shows up in Virgil's Aeneid when Aeneas goes to the underworld. I don't know why he in particular should be singled out here, though, unless it's because he's a symbol of anger, although his anger certainly seemed justifiable.
Hey, John, can I just take you back to a comment you made earlier? I'm a bit at sea here, I must admit.
Okay.
Where's the first reference to the tower that you were speaking of?
The very
That's the other
last
side of-
line of
Yeah.
7.
Of 7. Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. I was confused.
Right. With eyes turned unto those who gorged the mire, unto the foot of a tower we came at last.
And now in 8, he's going to backtrack as to how they got to the rung where the angry were.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 9, we're back at the tower.
Okay, so shall we go on to Canto 8? Or to put it more positively, let's go on to Canto 8,
Good.
which we're going to read in Italian all the way through, and then we're going to read in English all the way through, and then we'll begin our parsing. So, Decio,
Yeah.
why don't you go ahead and begin Canto 8 in Italian?
Io dico, seguitando che assai prima che noi fossimo al piede dell'altra torre, e gli occhi nostri n'andar su alla cima, per due fiammette che vedemo porre, e in un'altra da lunghi render cenno, tanto che appena il poeta l'occhio torre. Io mi volsi al mar di tutto il senno, dissi, questo che dice, e quel risponde quell'altro fuoco, e chi son quei che li fem? Ed egli a me, su per le succide onde, già scorgere più quello che s'aspetta, e che il fumo del pantan non si nasconde. Corda non pinse mai da sé saetta. Chi si corresse via per l'aere snella, con io vidi una nave picchioletta venir per l'acqua verso noi in quella sotto il governo di un sol galeotto che gridava, or si giunta, anime fella, fleggias, tu gridi avotto, disse lo mio Signore, a questa volta più non ci avrai che sol passando il lotto. Quello è colui che grande inganno ascolta, che gli sia fatto e poi se ne remarca. Facessi, fleggias nell'ira accolta. Lo duca mio dicese nella barca e poi mi feci entrare appresso lui e sol quando io fui dentro parve carca. Tosto che il duca io nel legno fui, segando se ne le va l'antica prora dell'acqua più che non suol con altrui. Mentre noi
What happened?
Mentre noi correvan la morta gorra, dinanzi mi se fece un pien di fango e disse, chi sei tu che vieni anzi ora? E io a lui, sì vengo non rimango, ma tu chi sei che si sei fatto brutto? Rispose, vedi che son un che piango. E io a lui, con piangere e con lutto, spirito maledetto, ti rimani. Io ti conosco, ancor sia lordo tutto. Allor distese al legno ambo le mani, perché il maestro accorto li sospinse, dicendo, via costà, non gli altri cani, con gli altri cani. Lo collo poi con la braccia mi cinse, baciòmi il volto e dice, alma sdegnosa, benedetta colei che ne te incinse. Quei fu al mondo persona orgogliosa, bontà non è che sua memoria freggi, così si è l'ombra sua qui furiosa. Continuo. Quanti si tegnon con orla sui gran reggi, che qui staranno come porci in brago, di sé lasciando orribili dispregi. E io, maestro, molto sarei vago di vederlo arruffare in questa broda, prima che noi uccissimo del lago. Ed egli a me, avanti che la proda ti si lasci veder, tu sarai sazio, di tal disio convien che tu goda. Dopo ciò poco vidi io quello strazio far di costui e le frangose genti che Dio ancor ne lodo e ne ringrazio. Tutti gridavano a Filippo Argenti e il fiorentino spirito bizzarro in sé medesimo si volvea codenti. Quivi il lasciamo che più non ne narro, ma nell'orecchie mi rispercosse un duolo, perché io avante l'occhio intento sbarro. Next.
Lo buon maestro disse, o mai figliolo, s'appresa la città a nome di te, coi gravi cittadini, col grande stuolo. E io, maestro, già le sue meschite, la entro certe nella valle cerno, vermiglie come se di fuoco uscite fossero e mi disse il fuoco eterno, che entro la foca le dimostrarasse, come tu vedi in questo basso inferno. Poi purgiamo dentro l'alte fosse, che vala in quella terra sconsolata, le mura mi parian che ferro fosse. Non senza prima far grande agirata, venimmo in parte dove il nocchier forte. Usciteci, gridò, qui è l'entrata. Io vidi più di 1000 in sulle porte, da ciel piovuto che stizzosamente dican chi è costui che senza morte va per la regno della morte gente. Il savio mio maestro fece segno di voler lor parlar segretamente. Allora chiusero un poco gran disdegno e dissero vien tu solo e quei sen vada, che si ardito entrò per questo regno. So si ritorni per la folle strada, provi se sa che tu qui rimarrai, che li ha scorta si vi ha contrada. Next, please.
Okay. Decio, why don't you go ahead and complete the Italian reading?
Pensa, lettore, se io mi sconformi, se io mi sconformai nel suon della parole maledette, che non credetti ritornarci mai. O caro duca mio, che più di 7 volte mi hai scurata, renduta e tratto dall'altro periglio che incontro mi sento, che incontra mi stette. Non mi lasciar, disse io, così disfatto e se il passar più oltre ci è negato, retrovian l'orme nostre insieme ratto. E quel Signor che lì mi aveva menato mi disse, non temer che il nostro passo non ci può torre alcun da tal ne dato. Ma qui mi attendi e lo spirito lasso conforta e ciba di speranza buona, che io non ti lascerò nel mondo basso. Così sen va e quivi mi abbandona, lo dolce Padre, e io rimango in forze che sì e non nel capo mi tensiona.
Well,
Udir non poti quello che a lor porse, ma ei non stette là con essi guari, che ciascun dentro a prova si ricorse. Chiuser le porte che nostri avversari nel petto al mio Signor che fu rimasse e rivolsesi e me compassi rari, gli occhi alla terra e la ciglia avea rase di ogni baldanza e dicea ne sospiri, che m'ha negate le dolenti case. E a me disse, tu perch'io non addiri, non sbigottir, che io vincerò la prova, qual che ha la difensione dentro da s'agiri. Questa lor raccontanza non è nuova, che già l'usaro a men segreta porta, la qual senza serrame ancor si trova. Sovressa vedes tu la scritta morta, e già di qua la lei discende lerta, passando per lì li cerchi senza scorta, tal che per lui ne fia la terra aperta.
Great. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to the English. I say, continuing that long before we were to the foot of that high tower had come. Our eyes went upward to the summit of it. By reason of the two flamelets, we saw a place there, and from afar another answer them, so far that hardly could the eye attain it. And to the sea of all discernment turned. I said, what sayest this, and what respondeth that other fire? And who are they that made it? And he to me, across the turbid waves, what is expected thou canst now discern, if reek of the morass conceal it not. Cord never shot an arrow from itself that sped away athwart the air so swift as I beheld a little boat come o'er the water towards us at that moment, under the guidance of a single pilot who shouteth, now art thou arrived, fellow soul? Next.
Pelagius, Pelagius, thou criest out in vain for this once, said my lord. Thou shalt not have us longer than in the passage of the slough. As he who listens to some great deceit that has been done to him and then resents it, such became Pelagius in his gathered wrath. My God descended down into the boat, and then he made me enter after him. And only when I entered seemed it laden. Soon as the guide and I were in the boat, the antique prow goes on its way, dividing more of the water than 'tis wont with others. While we were running through the dead canal, up rose in front of me one full of mire, and said, who art thou that comest ere this hour? Next.
And my riposte, I come perhaps, I'll not remain. But who might you be, brutishly defiled? His answer was, just look at me, I'm one who weeps. And I to him, weep on. In grief may you remain, you spirit of damnation. I know who you are, filth as you may be. And then he stretched both his hands towards our gunwales. My teacher, though alert, soon drove him back, saying, get down, be off with all that dog pack. And then he ringed both arms around my neck, kissed my face, then said, you wrathful soul, blessed the one that held you in her womb. Next.
Mm-hmm.
This bold Jack was an arrogant brute in the world, nor in his whole life can remembrance find one sweetening touch. So must his raging spirit writhe here and roll. Men who strut like kings up there are such as here shall wallow hog-like in the mud, leaving behind nothing but foul reproach. Master, said I tell thee, it were good if I might see this villain soused in the swill before we have passed. Oh, that I could. And he made answer, Thou shalt gaze thy fill, or ever thou set eyes on the far shore. Herein 'tis fitting thou shouldst have thy will. And soon I saw him set upon so sore by the muddy gang, with such a pulling and hauling, that I still praise and thank my God therefore. Next, please.
They all were shouting at Filippo Argenti, and that exasperate spirit, Florentine, turned round upon himself with his own teeth. We left him there, and more of him I tell not, but on mine ears there smote a lamentation, whence forward I intent unbar mine eyes. And the good master said, Even now, my son, the city draweth near whose name is Dis, with thee grave citizens, with thee great throng. And I its mosques already master clearly. Within there in the valley I discern vermilion, as if issuing from the fire they were, and he to me, the fire eternal, that kindles them within, makes them look red, as thou beholdest in this nether hell. Then we arrived within the moats profound, that circumvallate that disconsolate city. The walls appeared to me to be of iron. Next, please.
Now, without making first the circuit wide, we came unto a place where loud the pilot cried out to us, Debark, here is the entrance. More than 1,000 at the gate I saw, out of the heavens rained down, who angrily were saying, Who is this that without death goes through the kingdom of the people dead? And my sagacious master made a sign of wishing secretly to speak with them. A little then they quelled their great disdain, and said, Come thou alone, and he be gone, who has so boldly entered these dominions. Let him return alone by his mad road. Try if he can, but thou shalt here remain, who hast escorted him through such dark regions. Think, reader, if I was discomforted at utterance of the accused words, for never to return here I believed. O my dear guide, who more than 7 times has rendered me security, and drawn me from imminent peril that before me stood. Do not desert me, said I, this undone, and if the going further be denied us, let us retrace our steps together swiftly. And that Lord, who had led him hitherward, said unto me, Fear not, because our passage none can take from us, it by such is given. Next, please.
But here await me, and thy weary spirit comfort and nourish with a better hope, for in this nether world will not leave thee. So onward goes, and there abandons me, my Father sweet, and I remain undoubt, or no, and yes, within my head content. I could not hear what he proposed to them, but with them there he did not linger long. Ere each within his revelry ran back. They closed the portals, those our adversary, on my Lord's breast, who had remained without, and turned to me with footsteps far between. His eyes cast down, his forehead shorn, had he of all its boldness, And he said with sighs, who has denied to me the dullsome houses? And unto me, thou, because I am angry, fear not, for I will conquer in the trial whatever for defense within be planned. This arrogance of theirs is nothing new, for once they used it at last secret gate, which finds itself without a fastening still. Over it didst thou behold the dead inscription, and now this side of the descent, the steep, passed across the circle without discord, and by whose means the city shall be opened.
All right. Okay. We'll begin in reading it in parts with some discussion. I say, continuing that long before, we came to the foot of that high tower had come. We to the foot of that high tower had come. Our eyes went upward to the summit of it. By reason of two flamelets we saw placed there, and from afar another answer them, so far that hardly could the eye obtain it. And to the sea of all discernment turned, I said, what sayest this? And what respondeth that other fire? And who are they that made it? Okay, where are we? What's going on there?
One more verse, because Dante asks a question, but Virgil doesn't seem to answer it.
Why don't you go ahead and read it, Didi?
And he to
Doesn't
me,
answer any of them.
across the turbid waves, what is expected thou canst not discern, if freak of the morass conceal it not. Virgil doesn't answer the question of where this signal, who's exchanging this signal, what is exchanging this signal.
Okay.
So maybe we should keep reading. I think there's more coming up.
That's okay.
Clearer.
Let's parse what we have here so far, and then you can continue after that. I say continuing that long before we came to the foot of that high tower. We to the foot of that high tower had come. Okay, so this basically says they came to a tower and they looked up at the top of it. And they saw two little flames. And then they looked and I guess from the tower far away, they saw some other flames. And we know the tower is far away because it says so far that hardly could the eye obtain it. Okay, so we got tower.
So is there two towers? Or is
There are
it just
two
one?
towers. There are two towers.
Two towers,
Yeah.
one each side of the lake,
Okay.
one each margin of the lake.
Yeah, so they're standing next to one tower, but they can see another tower in the far distance.
Blinking, yeah. The light is blinking.
And what's the name of the lake? Does anybody know?
Styx,
I thought it was part of the Styx, yeah, the river Styx.
the
Or is it-
lakes.
STYX.
Mm-hmm.
And they find this, the guy that conducts the boat is Phlegyas. And in the boat, they find another guy, he's called, what is his name? Filippo Argenti, who wants to enter in the boat.
Right, Felipe is actually in the lake, though, right?
He's in the lake, but he tries to enter in the boat and try to kiss Dante. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember reading somewhere, was it Filippo Gente's brother or someone took Dante's stuff when he was exiled from Florence. And that's why he has them here.
What do you mean by take Dante stuff?
Because remember, Dante was exiled from Florence, so he could never go
Right.
back to retrieve his belongings. I remember
Mhm.
seeing that somewhere. Look.
Dante puts all his enemies in the Inferno.
Yeah.
And Argenti was prominent, and I read in the notes, and was
Argenti.
against the return of Dante.
Okay, so he opposed.
It's from another party.
Is he a Guelph? I don't
Mhm.
see Guelph somewhere. Maybe not.
Did I see that?
This is what my notes from Durling says.
Mhm.
Filippo Argente, this was a Florentine, according to Boccaccio, a member of the Adamari family, black partisans denounced by Dante in Paradiso, who is so arrogant that he had his horse shod with silver, hence his name. Yeah, Argente is silver. In Decameron 9.8, Boccaccio relates an incident involving his temper. Nothing more is known about the man, although several early commentators relate that his brother gained possession of some of Dante's property when it was. Okay, so basically, Dante's kicked out of Florence, and Argente's brother becomes the owner of some of Dante's stuff.
Yep.
Argenti means silver.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So we ask about the flames. What are they communicating? And then
One tower blinks twice, and the other blinks just one.
No.
So do you have, for the second blink, do you have the word tower? Because I have beacon here.
Yeah, beacon is a lighthouse, like a lighthouse.
Well, it could not necessarily. It
That's
could be something fairly small that gives off light.
Yeah. Yeah.
All it says in Longfellow is from afar, the answer.
It thinks the aid to navigation.
oh, okay. Yeah, there's basically I think the communication is, hey, there's some people here, come get them.
Yeah,
So
probably.
the ferry boat shows up on line 15. Cord never shot an arrow from itself that spread away athwart the air so swift as I beheld a very little boat
Sure,
come o'er the water towards us at that moment.
sure.
So, at least for now, I would say that the one tower is saying there's some souls here waiting to be transported.
Two souls, two beams of light. I think, according to my notes, two beams of light indicate two souls.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll
Sure.
go with that. Mhm.
Sure.
Okay. So I don't even know where I ended. Where did
I
I
don't,
end?
I don't know where we are. Where were you? Dee Dee was reading, wasn't she? Were you reading, Dee Dee?
Yeah,
I don't know where you were.
where did I stop? We don't have, I didn't read about the boat. maybe just line 14 is where we go on.
Okay, well, why don't you read a little bit more and
Okay, cord never shot an arrow from itself that sped away athwart the air so swift, as I beheld a very little boat came o'er the water toward us at that moment, under the guidance of a single pilot, who shouted, "Now that art thou arrived, fell soul, Flagius, oh, I read it. Thou criest out in vain for this once, said my lord. Thou shalt not have us longer than in the passing of the slough. So Flagius is trying to stop, doesn't want them on his boat going across the slough, which I think is like at the end of the river Styx. I don't know. I'm trying to create a picture in my mind.
I think a slough is an inlet. And
one more verse. As he who listens to some great deceit that has been done to him, and then resents it, such became Flagius in his gathered wrath.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So actually, he does want them in his vote. He just thinks that they are more souls that have been damned.
No, but he knows he doesn't want them in the boat.
Oh, well, we haven't got to that part. Well, he doesn't want Dante because Dante is a body, a physical body.
Right, right.
So he asked him, "Who are you that comes here before the time?" And he entered in the boat, and the boat is going down.
Yeah.
Because he has some weight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what we should read ahead because yeah, that's what
the soul, and Dante
right,
is
that's what the lines, JCO, that's what the lines ahead are telling us, are describing. So we should read that.
Sylvia's next.
Yeah, and I've got, my lord stepped down, and entering the boat, he made me in my turn embark behind. The hull seemed laden only when I did. At once my leader boarded, me as well. The ancient prow put out. It sawed the waves more deeply than it would with other crews.
Mm-hmm.
So rushing forwards on that lifeless slick, there jerked up, fronting me, one brimming slime who spoke. So, who? You come too soon, are you? On my riposte, I come, perhaps I'll not remain. But who might you be, brutishly befouled? His answer was, just look at me. I'm one who weeps, and I to him weep on in grief. May you remain your spirit of damnation. I know who you are, filth as you may be. Pretty powerful stuff. Is that confusing everybody?
No.
No, I think it's pretty clear.
No, just because I've different. So, wait a minute, who's? So is this Philip, somebody or other here who's?
Argente, Filippo Argente.
How did you work that out? Can you?
Actually, I don't think he's named yet. I think he's going
named
to be
later on, Sylvia.
He's named later. Yeah.
He's named in line 61.
Oh, right, right.
But
yeah, he rose up out of the mire, full of mire.
But it's so hard to visualize because, I mean, it talks about water, but but you get the impression of all this slime and disgusting stuff in
Yeah,
the
dead canal.
Mm-hmm.
brimming slime, so it's not really water, am I right?
Well, it's slime,
Yeah.
full of mire.
Mm.
A slough where I live, and the term is used quite frequently, talks about a small, often stagnant body of water.
Right.
Shallow, think bigger than a pond. Duncan, I'm wondering if you go straight south to Texas where you are, if the term slough is used there as well.
Actually, it's not. I'm actually familiar with it from California.
Got it. Okay. Because it's
Where,
definitely used here in Saskatchewan where I live.
okay. Yeah, and I've been to the slough. There's a really interesting slough in Central California between Santa Cruz and Monterey. And they had, I have like alligators and herons. And we do have similar bodies of water in South Texas. Usually it's where there's a barrier between the Gulf and the land, and then there's this kind of stagnant water with cattails and all that, and there's alligators and snakes and many types of birds and all that. That's how I identify a slough. And it is
The slow, slurry.
In literature, this somewhere, I think maybe Don Quixote, the Slough of Despond.
Pilgrim's
Where is that?
Progress, I think,
Pilgrim's
Dee Dee.
Progress, right?
Yeah. I think it's
Pilgrim's
Pilgrim's
Progress.
Progress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
John Bunyan.
Slough.
But slurry is excrement. What do you call it?
Sure.
Excrement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sewage.
I come from a farm, and they have slurry, and then they spread it.
Right. Slurry
It's
is a
like
mixture
kind of pasta.
Kind of what, Decio?
Pasta.
pasta. I don't think so.
You're kidding.
Bit of mud or something like that. Mud.
I think you get a slurry on a farm when you have a bunch of soft feces mixed with urine,
Yeah, yeah,
and you have to kind of shovel it out of the
yeah,
area. And
yeah.
you-
My brother.
In engineering, we use slurry to do the construction. Let's say the slurry is a semi-liquid mixture, typically of fine particles of manure, cement, or coal suspended in water. Clay slurry is when you make the excavation, in order to the excavation doesn't fall down, we put the slurry there, and then the slurry keeps the walls of the excavation.
Okay.
It's a way not to, because if you excavate a well, it can fall down.
Yeah,
so we
right,
put
right.
slurry in, and then it keeps up the walls.
Right, there are different kinds of slurry, obviously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just put Wikipedia's definition in the chat.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that.
Where are we?
A wetland.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Kind of a marshland, wetland, etc. Except I think it's supposed to be more disgusting here.
Yeah, we get to the farm down at line 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But was that unusual that who did Dante answer this Philip? I know who you are, filth as you may be.
Yeah.
Is that not kind of unusual that he was? Is that because he was slighted by him, or more than that?
Oh, yeah.
But isn't it unusual that he made a comment to any of the?
No, I think there are other characters like that who specifically Dante felt were his enemies, were malicious enemies. throughout
there's
the story.
right. I think this is the first example of a number of examples where
Oh,
notice that this guy recognizes Dante first, and then Dante. Let's see. While we were running, okay, 31. While we were running through the dead canal, up rose in front of me one full of mire, and said, "Who art thou that comest ere the hour?"
mhm,
And I to him, although I come, I stay not. But
mm,
who art thou that hast become so squalid? Then Argente says, "Thou seest that I am one who weeps." And I to him, now Dante recognizes him. And I to him, with weeping and with wailing, thou spirit maledict, do thou remain. For thee I know, though thou art all defiled.
mhm,
So this is an interesting little technique here, because between line 36, where Dante says, "Though I come," in line 30 or line 35, Dante asks him, "Who are you?" But by line 37, he recognizes who he is.
mm.
And then Filippo tries to grab Dante.
I thought that was Virgil
Is it?
who was hugging Dante, kissing him.
No, before that, Duncan is
Before
talking
that,
about.
on line 40,
Mhm.
Oh,
then
thrust his hands
he,
upon the boat.
right, so this is Filippo. Then stretched he both his hands upon the boat, whereas my weary master thrust him back, saying, "Away there with the other dogs."
Mm-hmm.
Thereafter with his arms.
He tries to kiss him.
Yeah.
Virgil kisses Dante's face.
No.
Thereafter
Yeah.
with his arms he
Yeah.
clasped my
I
neck.
think
He
so, yeah.
kissed my face and said, "Disdainful soul, blessed be she who bore thee in thy bosom."
That was an arrogant person in the world.
That was right.
Goodness is none that decks his memory.
So I think
But
you may be right. I think you may be right that he
he,
actually does manage to grab Dante and kiss him.
Well, he thrust him back.
yeah,
Well,
but then,
Dante,
and who do you think kissed who? Dee Dee. Do you think?
I think Filippo
Isn't it
kissed.
Virgil doing the hugging here?
I
No.
think it.
I think it's Virgil.
Okay, so I'm with you. I'm with you, John, because I think it is. So the master thrust him back, crying, "Hence to the other dogs trouble him not." And
Mhm,
after, we're still speaking of the master as I read it, laid his
mhm,
arms about my neck and kissed my face and said, "Indignant soul, blessed is the womb that bare thee." And then he starts to talk about the guy in the water. This bold Jack was an arrogant brute in the world. So I'm thinking it's Virgil who's doing the hugging here.
I can understand your interpretation there, but I think I like the idea that Argente actually gets a hold of Dante and kisses him.
because
Right.
in mine in 40, it says at 43, and then he ringed both arms around my neck. He kissed my face.
Yeah, the
Then,
kiss.
then
Yeah,
said,
Sylvia, read a couple more lines before that.
well, I know who you are, felt that
My
you may be.
master thrust him back. That was 42.
Yeah. Yeah, my teacher, though alert, soon drove him back, saying, "Get down, be off with all that dog pack." And then he wringed both arms around my neck. He kissed my face and said, "You wrathful soul." That's what's confusing me. "Bless the one that held you in her womb." that man
Okay.
flouted his arrogance.
So
And
when,
nothing.
when he says that was an arrogant person in the world, he's talking about Argenti.
Yeah.
So he's
yeah.
the one who kissed Dante in the face. He's trying, I think, trying to comfort him.
Mm.
Okay, so we have two interpretations here. I'm on the side that says that actually Argenti managed to kiss Dante. And in my translation, it says, he kissed my face and said, I think he is Argenti. Argenti kissed my
Could you
face and
read
said,
a couple of lines there,
hold
Duncan?
on. Thereafter, with his arms, he clasped my neck. Argenti kissed my face and said, disdainful soul,
Oh,
blessed be
Argenti
she.
kissed my face.
Do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, that's my interpretation.
What is
The-
it?
It's not there, literally there. Duncan is
Oh.
interpreting it.
Yeah, I'm interpreting. So let me go to the Italian. What line are we at? Tell me what line.
40. Start at 40.
Or
At 40? Okay, so what do you think, Decio?
I think the Argenti tried to, with the hands, to grab the boat, and then he approached to Dante and kissed him in the face. And he
Okay.
said, thy mother is something about his mother that generated him.
He's trying to praise Dante.
Yes.
That is Virgil. Disdainful soul. He's saying that about Argente. And then he's saying about Dante, blessed be she who bore thee in her bosom.
Okay.
That was an arrogant person in the world. So he's talking first about Argenti, then about Virgil, and then back to talking about Argenti, the arrogant person.
Okay.
Because Dante isn't afraid anymore. Dante would have been, if Argente had kissed him, he would have been, oh my God, he would have fainted or something.
I think this is why very soon you will see Dante getting extremely angry.
Well, that's because he's afraid, because he's going to get separated from Virgil. That's what what's his name, the boatman wants to do.
But if I was making the movie, Argenti would successfully kiss Dante and then be pushed away.
Yeah, but he got pushed away before he clasped Dante's neck, because he didn't clasp Dante's neck. I'm more and more sure of myself.
Okay, that's fine.
There's no reason for Virgil to kiss Dante, because they are.
Yeah, he wanted to. He's his master. He's his protector, like his parent, and he's trying to keep him from being terrified.
I just think they're two strange lines. They kind of contradict each other in mine. Why would he say, you wrathful soul, and then blessed is the one that held you in her womb? That's in mine. I just think,
well, that's
they
right.
don't.
Oh, right. Okay. Now, how about this? How about, is Dante being deliberately obscure here?
Is he being what, Duncan?
Deliberately obscure.
Well, that's what Barolini keeps saying, that he does it on purpose.
Yeah, because look at this. We're in a really pretty deep conversation about this.
Right, trying to figure it out.
With a real disagreement, although I'm fine with either interpretation. I just personally like the idea that Argenti did manage to kiss Dante before.
But Dante, as we keep reading, he's so calm. A few verses down. If he had been kissed by that foul Argente, he wouldn't have been calm.
It's interesting to me because like we're I mean we're clearly divided here, and I'm wondering if part of it has to do with the particular translation that we have. I don't know.
But we've got different translations. What's Longfellow saying? That was my translation.
Okay, yeah, I'll see what that note. You know, Barolini says that the scholars disagree.
There we are. So we're in good company then.
We're
Yes.
in good company. And I can bring up my usual theme that I think that Dante revels in this type of ambiguity, because it does lead, it brings out energy to analyze
Mm.
and to argue our points, our different points. So this is actually going to be.
I didn't find anything in Longfellow's notes about that particular.
And Anne Doyle, what do you think?
I'm on the fence because I can see
Beware
both
fence.
sides.
Beware
I had
fence.
never thought about it, but I can actually see both sides.
And I just want to warn you, and sorry, I just want to warn you that I saw earlier in the book that he's got a bad place for people who sit on the fence. You got to take a side.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm actually going to be outside, completely outside.
Desi, what do you think?
I'm reading here in a book by Barbara Reynolds.
Okay.
But it's in Portuguese. And he kisses Dante, he embraces Dante and kisses in the face. And
who is the he? It's Argenti?
Is not, we cannot say who is it.
Okay, so it's just he.
It's ambiguous. Yes, it's ambiguous.
And what about John, our classical John?
I think it's Virgil who's doing the embracing and the kissing. And I think the reason he says disdainful soul, this is an example of justifiable anger, as opposed to the anger that's being punished throughout this level of hell. So I think he's congratulating or comforting Dante for this display of anger.
But this happens before Dante even gets angry. Dante gets angry after this.
He gets angrier. Yeah. He gets angrier. He has up above, he did say, thou spirit maledict, do thou remain. For thee I know, though thou art all defiled.
Okay, and I with him weeping and was wailing, thou spirit of maledict, do thou remain. For thee I know, though thou art all defiled.
He seems to get even angrier.
Is this post? And Dave, what were you saying?
Well, I said a few things. I don't recall them all, but I would say that we're getting different translations for line 44. Kiss my face, and the Sayers translation is indignant soul, but a number of you are saying wrathful soul.
Yeah,
and and Longfellow says disdainful soul.
There you are. Yeah.
And disdainful is like you're repelled by this.
Yeah, you just want them to go away.
Because Filippo Argenti comes later in line 61.
Does it?
It's not Filippo Argenti. It's another soul that tried to kill. No.
Oh, really? You think so?
Do you think he's another soul, Desi? Oh, dear.
Okay, now huh. See,
Is that
because
I
I
don't
think it
Filippo?
think,
is.
I think it's him. I think the people in the mire are
Yeah.
attacking him because he was so particularly unpopular. He was so particularly obnoxious to people, predatory.
A little after that, such a havoc made of him by the people of the mire that still I praise and thank my God for. Well, Dante's really pissed at this guy.
Yeah, there's a note about that in
Mm.
Longfellow is quoting Leigh Hunt, who is like I think from the late 1800s poet. So he um
Yes, I think he was the model for Harold Skimpole in Dickens' Bleak House.
oh
So
really?
temporary with Dickens, yes, Leigh Hunt. But so just to kind of pick up the thread, I think that was happening here. Filippo Argente does not reveal who he is. It's the others who call him out on 61, at least in my translation. Have at Filippo Argente, they were bawling.
Yeah.
Okay, Longfellow says they all were shouting at Filippo Argente. And that exasperate spirit Florentine turned round upon himself with his own teeth, which is a rather unusual line. We left him there, and more of him I tell not. But on mine ears there smote a lamentation, whence forward I intend unbar mine eyes.
Unbar my eyes.
Unbar my eyes.
Unbar. Oh.
Huh. And you know what? Okay, so yeah, I'm going to throw something pretty crazy out there. So is it not true that when one is angry, that things really become ambiguous and details are missed? And am I being totally out of it when I say that perhaps Dante is trying to put us in that state?
Well, Barolini keeps accusing him of that.
A
And all
blind rage.
the disagreement of scholars about these details. There's a whole scholarly back and forth about him.
Well, this may be where Joyce realized that if you want to be talked about hundreds of years later, you better give the scholars something to argue about.
Mhm.
See,
And impossible to know, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
but the thing that just throws me, I mean, I think you could follow it through, you know, about the disdainful, wrathful, or whatever it is. So that man alive flaunted his ignorance and did nothing. But in the middle of it, they stick in this blessed, you know, like the blessed, the one that held you in her womb. I mean, some of you have.
Yeah, that is a
Well, that
kicker.
just Sylvia, could you possibly keep your face in the picture when you talk?
Oh, sorry, because I'm reading
Yeah,
it
I have
from.
trouble understanding.
No, I'm saying that the blessed, the one that held you in her womb, just throws me. That's very confusing.
Well, it's a kind of a seesaw. It's rhetorically maybe it makes Barolini seem justified in accusing Dante of kind of playing with our minds.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. But of course, if I was the only person here who's competent with Italian is Decio. So Decio.
No, for me, it's also ambiguous, but I think it's this soul that try to grab out the boat and try to kiss him. He says that his mother, I don't know the word, his mother is blessed that generated him. Is the
Yeah,
soul
well,
that maybe it's the soul is saying that because there is no reason for Virgilio to say that.
and here I'll throw.
This show is saying that with envy,
Right.
envy, a
And
sentiment of
that
envy.
was an arrogant person in the world.
No, but it's not an arrogant. This is
No,
soul.
Virgil is talking about Argenti.
No, but Genti is in 61. We are in 41.
Yeah, but that was an arrogant person in the world. That's 46, I think.
That's what Virgil says, yes.
Yeah, that's what Virgil is saying.
Yeah,
Because he's a sinner. He's a sinner.
Yeah, right. And Virgil is commenting on Argenti being a sinner.
No,
Horrible
it's not.
sinner.
Genti comes in 61. We are in 41. 40.
Well, let me throw another monkey wrench in the whole thing. Because there can't be too much ambiguity. Argenti, it's possible that Argenti really did admire Dante's mother.
I have to go get my clothes off the line. The sun is going down. I'll let you guys fight it out.
Oh, I think we're probably all. It's 9 o'clock here.
Okay, yeah, we can close it down, but let me just throw this out at the very end again, that it's possible that Argenti could actually have admired Dante's mother, even if he didn't like Dante himself.
But then the next phrase in that paragraph, that was an arrogant person in the world. That's in that quotation, the same quotation.
I have to look at the quotation marks in the.
I have to go. I really have to go.
Yeah,
I leave you on that combative note.
Yeah, it's actually, we've gone on. It's almost 3 o'clock.
So anyway, we'll pick it up next week, I would imagine.
Yeah, let's just start here. Then we'll.
This is good.
Who knows how far we'll get next week?
Before we go, could I just say something to Decio? And I sympathize with you. It must be difficult dealing with a bunch of different translations, and yet I'm hoping that it's worth the pain, because when we can go to our various translations, I think it adds some richness to the discussion.
Yes, okay, no problem. No, don't worry. It's okay.
But I know it's hard. It must be hard with this not being your first language, and I'm sympathetic. It's just that the trade-off is I think it's really great for the discussion.
Yes. Yeah, I understand. Don't worry. Thank
you. Yeah. And anyway, that was really good.
Great. It was just super.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's good.
See you next time.
Yes.
Okay. Well, gee whiz, folks. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. See you tomorrow then.
Yes.
Yes.
10 o'clock my time.
Tomorrow, 10 o'clock your time. And Dave, if you're interested in another reading of Ulysses, we're going to be doing a Ulysses tomorrow night with the Venice Ulysses group.
Wonderful.
Okay, and that's in Italian though, correct?
No. This is Ulysses. This is Joyce's Ulysses.
No, but I thought the discussion was in Italian. Did I misunderstand?
You misunderstood that.
Okay, so
Venice, it means Venice Beach, California, not
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Venice Beach, California.
All right,
So it's
okay.
California time.
Sorry. A geographically challenged Canadian here.
No. It's perfectly understandable, and I should have been quicker on the uptake on that one. But
Are we
You're not joining our English one tomorrow night?
of course I am.
okay?
No, but Dave, is Dave not joining?
Yes, correct.
probably
It's
is.
correct. It would be nighttime for you. It's 1 o'clock for me. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes.
Same time as this one.
But she's asking if you're going to join the Facebook reading tomorrow at
This 1 o'clock or 7 or whatever.
in the afternoon.
Like this, the one that's same bat time, same bat channel as we always do on
Yeah.
Thursdays. Yes,
on
I'll be there.
Thursdays. You'll be
Yes.
there.
You do that. Okay.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm going to click the goodbye button
Thanks.
for now.
Yeah.
Dave, I'll send you the invitation. If you don't always get them, I'll send you the invitation to the Venice Beach Ulysses. Okay.
Do you have my email address then?
Why don't you go ahead and type it in quickly?
Okay. Yeah, just I'll just put my glasses on here. Yeah, okay. Let me just make sure there were no spelling errors. TrishaDave@gmail.com. That's it. And I will send it.
Look at, where'd you send it? Oh, okay. I see
Sorry,
it.
I put it in the chat.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Trisha Dave Little. Okay. Yeah, you're right. I don't have your email
Okay.
because I would remember that. All right. So I'll add you to that email list as well.
Great.
And this reading is now being held like once a month.
Okay, perfect. That
Okay.
sounds great. Looking forward to getting the link. Okay, take
Thanks
care.
a lot.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
bye.